How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. We're going to be looking at a bunch of stuff, and yeah, you can see my kid actually playing Rocket League in the background. Bit of a entertainment for you guys on this time. But yeah, so there's been a bit of news going around with the direction Microsoft is potentially looking to go to, and this has rustled up a couple of feathers, especially amongst those that are Super Tango fans. You know, the studio that just closed down, and it's been a bit of a kind of stab in the gut, you could say, but a lot of people, well, at least I understand where it's coming from. And Jez Corden has a huge article that we're going to go through, just the key areas where, in my opinion, it kind of outlines why they decided to go down this route, mainly because logistics. Well, let's go through the article and go get into that. But first of all, I see a lot of people talking about the games coming towards Xbox and Avowed being delayed, and how Avowed being delayed has completely and utterly ruined Xbox's chance of having a great 2024 with all the games that are coming. Apparently, that's not enough. And now, Avowed not being here clearly proves that Microsoft is incapable of releasing games, or they're blaming Game Pass. I don't understand the mental gymnastics going on here. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty weird. But one thing I will say is that the decision to delay Avowed, or any game, it didn't have to be Avowed. If Avowed was available in September, it should have been released in September. I think just there's too many games in the last 2 months. Because of that, it just created a problem. And the shift from Stalker 2 going from September to November, when Avowed was supposed to land in November, getting pushed out a couple of months, it just makes sense, right? The logistics work. And I agree with Riskit on this one as well. I mean, I've said it before anyway, and I said it way before he did. But him reiterating it just kind of proves my point. And you're seeing a bunch of ponies now. I've seen Puerto Rock as well, who is saying Xbox's whole timeline is ruined because Avowed is delayed. Maybe I gave that guy a bit too much credit. Maybe he is full of shit after all. Because there's something wrong there if you think one game delayed is going to cause that much of a problem with everything else coming down the road. But you know how it goes, right? You know how it goes. But I just don't think it's that big of a deal. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think that's big of a problem. And I think for the game's chances of being a monetary success, it is the best choice for them. As gamers, we want everything here and now. No doubt about it. But for the game's monetary success, I think it was a great option, and they chose the right option to go down in order to delay it. But anyway, getting back to the crux of the video, and if you've enjoyed it this far, do consider hitting the like button, subscribe, hit the bell to stay up to date with all content I release. Thanks so much for supporting the channel. You can support me further through my YouTube memberships. You can click on the join button down below. You can do that right now, in fact, if you really wanted to. Or you can click on that super thanks, and it will notify me of your super thanks instantly for me to come and give you a thank you message immediately. Right, on with the actual video. So, Tom Warren decided that it was time to question and call out Microsoft again for not releasing their mobile stuff by the end of July. And as you can see here, Tom Warren, where is the Xbox mobile store? Xbox President Sarah Bond revealed earlier this year that a new mobile store would be launching in July. So where the goddamn hell is the Xbox? Why are you lying to us? Is basically the general message coming from what is posted. Well, Xbox Fan Club discovered an Xbox Mobile Store webpage recently, which suggests Xbox insiders will get access first. Testing has begun for our browser-based store, says Carrie Perez, head of Xbox Communications, in a statement to Verge. Our work is progressing well, and we will have more to share in the future. And this is the image that you get. So the store is coming, whether this is going to be a web store for buying games or an actual proper mobile store that'll allow you to play like mobile games on your Xbox. That would be kind of cool. Can you imagine being able to play mobile games like Android games on your Xbox? Dudes, I just realized something. Like all these popular games that people are playing on PlayStation, like the gacha games, the moment you can put the say Play Store onto your thing, or if not the Play Store, just have the mobile store, have these gacha games be put onto your mobile store, and then have them playable through the Xbox. That's it. Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, all of them will instantly be playable on Xbox. Holy shit. That's a whole wow. Microsoft really is trying to tackle this the Sony situation where they put the games on PlayStation and not Xbox in many different angles to the point where there really is going to be no way to avoid having your games on Xbox. I mean, that's just my thinking, of course, but that's an interesting thought, right? What do you think about that? Leave a comment below and let me know what you think, because that's interesting. But this one over here is the one I wanted to refer to. And there's a few bits in here that I've highlighted that I think were important. Well, there's a couple of other little tidbits as well, but it's important that, I just think this article is important because it kind of outlines Microsoft's strategy going forward, where they want to go, and clearly, as the title reads here, Microsoft and Activision have formed a new team within Blizzard to work on smaller AA games based on existing IP. And these AA games are low in cost, real high earners. So that's where it's at. And of course, like I said at the start of the video, people are going to be looking at, Tango and why they were gone because they could have done this. But as we'll see later on, in this article, Jess says that logistics was pretty much the main issue. Now, the TLDR here is over the past few weeks, many King employees had switched their LinkedIn profiles from King to Blizzard. We can reveal that Microsoft and Activision have formed a new, smaller team within Blizzard comprised of King and various other employees to work on AA games based on existing Blizzard franchises like Overwatch, Warcraft, StarCraft, and beyond. Now, this is cool because this could be just them making mobile games on its own and them trying to push that mobile real hard with all their IPs, which there's a lot of IPs, so that could be kind of cool, but also making them playable on Xbox. And if they have the same finesse, the same finish as we do with the current games like Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, Honkai Star Rail, then we could be in for a real treat here. Microsoft is keen to leverage its huge backlog of franchises it acquired with its Activision Blizzard purchases of previous years. Now, this isn't me championing gacha, not at all. This is me saying that those caliber games appearing would be nice in terms of quality. Now, over here it says, last year, Microsoft completed its acquisition of Activision Blizzard for a whopping $72 billion. The purchase gave it control over mega franchises like WoW, COD, and King mobile games like Candy Crush. We're starting to already see the impact on Xbox's bottom line, with Microsoft reporting a 61% growth. That's huge, year on year. That is ridiculous, driven largely by its Activision Blizzard corporate operation across PC, gaming consoles, and mobile. Microsoft isn't done, though. Our sources indicate that Microsoft and Activision have approved the creation of a new team within its Blizzard subsidiary, comprised mostly with employees from King, Blizzard, known for their beloved franchises like WoW, StarCraft, Diablo, Overwatch, and Microsoft is keen to curate and serve these franchises more prolifically than Activision itself did previously. So Microsoft is seeing these franchises there, and they're just saying, you know what, this is a trove of money just sitting there. Let's make something of it. Let's push out these games AA. They don't need to be AAA, and let's make money. People want these games, push them out. Military sci-fi strategy series StarCraft, for example, has essentially been on mothballs since StarCraft remastered in 2017, and Xbox CEO Phil Spencer himself has name-checked StarCraft during interviews about the acquisition in recent years, more than once in fact. Still, you need teams to work on these classic franchises, and that's exactly what Microsoft is going to do by creating more teams, more studios to actually go at it. Of course, the keen-eyed is then going to say, well, why did they close Austin and Tango? Well, we'll come to that in a little bit. Austin, I get. There was no excuse for Austin. That end, we're told Microsoft and Activision's new team within Blizzard is tasked to work on AA smaller games based on existing franchises within the Blizzard universes. Given King's mobile expertise, it's possible that these will be mobile games aimed to support Xbox's planned mobile game store, which we have seen here is in testing and is going well and will be released soon, which I suspect will be on Xbox as well for iOS and Android, although we're not entirely sure that they'll be restricted specifically to mobile, given Microsoft's platform agnostic strategy across mobile, PC, and the Xbox console. It's entirely possible that any fresh projects could run across platforms. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella recently described how he wants to focus how it wants Xbox to focus on a three-pronged gaming approach across the endpoints with Xbox console at its core, not all consoles or other consoles or more than or just consoles. He wants the Xbox console. So he is pushing for Xbox to be the central console platform for its strategy, while everything else around it, PC and console, kind of offsprings from it, which is great. Because even the PC side of things, when you're looking at PC Game Pass, is an offspring of the actual Xbox console, because they're essentially the same version of the game. It's just, if you scale it straight down, you've got the Series S. Scale it halfway, you've got the Series X. Scale it to the top, and you've got the PC version. Obviously, the Steam version is different. That's actually properly built on DirectX 12 and whatnot. Microsoft is exploring building games with smaller, more agile teams, which will, in hopes, bring more money, because AA games, as we've seen over the years, are massive earners. Games like Vampire Survivors, which was what, $2.99, $3.99, just sold. I mean, I bought it because it's $2.99. It's not that big, and a lot of people did that, and that craze at the time just made it go bang. And good on for the developer for creating something so addictive and so fun to play, and at the same time, it sold millions of units. Not every game is going to have that success, mind you, but it's just a prime example of how an indie game or a AA game can do so well. Sources tell me that Microsoft is keen to explore and experiment finding success out of smaller teams that are also integrated with the larger organization, almost Nintendo style for seamless collaboration. Microsoft and other big publishers are increasingly concerned about the monstrously ballooning costs facing AAA game development. I mean, who isn't at this point? And having studios cross-collaborate more closely is one way Microsoft is exploring reducing costs. Now, having studios in other countries creates a bit of a problem, and that's, I'm guessing, where Tango is going to come in this article. A lot of the biggest success stories in the industry in recent times have been unique ideas from smaller teams. Think games like Balatro, Power World, Vampire Survivors, Among Us, and even some of Microsoft's internal games like Sea of Thieves and Grounded. Many of these titles were built by comparatively small teams, and in some cases solo developers. And even though people laugh at the amount of money these games made, they made profits 20, 30, 40 times over, maybe even 100 times over of what their development cost is. And at the end of the day, that return of investment is all that matters. And obviously, the Twitter folk out there who will look at this, I'm looking at you, ponies, that will look at this and say, oh, but it only sold this many few units for an indie game, and yet it's made like 100 times what its projection was and 100 times its development cost. That's a good return of investment. Yet many of these titles became wildly popular based on their innovative gameplay alone, and in some cases, their agility to pivot to new trends. It's a shame, because you might be wondering why Microsoft decided that closed Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Gameworks didn't fit into the strategy. That's a big question, and that is something that is going to come up within this. From what I've been told, it did. It was sadly only for its geographical location in Japan, making inter-studio collaboration logistically difficult. So basically, part of the reason why it was shut down is because Microsoft's new strategy to have all their studios collaborate to help bring costs down, to help push games out faster, Tango Gameworks and its location just didn't match that. I mean, there were other reasons as well, obviously, but clearly that was a factor into this as well. From what I've been told, it did. It was sadly... In any case, as player habits have evolved in recent years, the industry is undergoing something of a painful transition, and reducing costs is a big part of it. Now, that's really important because the costs that are going around at the moment is clearly a big thing. It's clearly a problem, and the ballooning costs of video games, AAA gaming, has spiraled out of control. Now, the biggest issue here is to reduce those or find other games that can subsidize those costs by building those games at a lower cost with maximum profits to subsidize those bigger games that can potentially get the bigger profits. And at the end, that's the name of the game now. It's all about profits. And if we go back to the days of the PS2, the Dreamcast, the GameCube, the OG Xbox, the 360, the PS3, the profits just naturally came because the games were coming out so thick and fast, and games back then just didn't cost as much. Games back then cost £40 or £50. Games today cost £70, very close to that £100 mark. So you reconsider whether you're going to buy that game or not. And not only that, you're paying $100 for a game now almost, and in the case of Ubisoft for a full game, $129, and you're not actually getting a complete fixed game either. Not saying that older games didn't have bugs or anything, but the problem here is that the games that are coming, not only are they way more expensive, they're not providing you the same entertainment and quality that you had before, they're just graphically looking amazing. A lot of it is just cinematic cutscenes, movie-esque to make it, give it that wow factor. And, I enjoy those. I'm not going to shit on those. I actually enjoy those. But it's removing so much from what the games were to the point where a lot of money is being invested, in my opinion, in the wrong places. But it's what the community wants, and it's what is selling right now. So hopefully they're pushed to these AA studios to build these games, and if they can actually get the Microsoft mobile store working on the Xbox console, that's a massive win for Xbox, because that means any game that's put on there, all those gachas that were skipping Xbox will no longer be skipping Xbox. And that's a bunch of revenue just waiting for Microsoft to pick up. So it's going to be interesting, but I do like this AA attitude from Microsoft. I think more companies should embrace this. I think Sony should embrace it themselves. We're already seeing Nintendo embrace it anyway. That's why they're doing so well. But people often overlook AA games, even single A and indie games. But you'll find that a lot of games of those calibers, like Dungeons of Hinterberg, are just far superior to the majority of crap that's being released today. It's a lot of fun. And if you haven't played it, you absolutely should. But you know what, folks? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on everything discussed in this video. If you've enjoyed the content up to this point, do hit that like button and subscribe. Hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release. If you want to support me further, there's a join button directly under this video to become a YouTube member on this channel. We'll get a bunch of emotes and access to early content for these videos. And of course, there's a super thanks if you've really enjoyed the video and want to thank me for my efforts. I appreciate you, and I'll make sure you know about it too. You can also support me through my Patreon. But that's it. That's the video. Remain legend.